Morning Tribe, Wednesday, hump day, and we are super psyched because it's midway through our first deload week of the year, 2019, coming strong. Today we're going to be talking about predominantly what we're doing for deload week, how we've changed things up and what we're teaching the tribe here at the gym. And we're also focusing very heavily today on answering your questions because we didn't get much of that done yesterday. All that and more coming up right after this. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image. And we're back. So in case we haven't met, guys, my name's Yanni Burmeister and this is my brother Rad Burmeister. Behind the camera we have Richard the Lellies, and we are Unity Gym, the gym that teaches people how to move and nourish instead of diet and exercise. Now, how are you feeling first of all before we jump into it?
Good.
Yeah, body's feeling good?
Yeah, no, my body feels good. I'm a bit tired today. I stayed up pretty late last night. I stayed at the gym and I was working pretty late, but that's what you got to do when you run an online program and
grinding.
You have to make it happen.
Rad's grinding. He actually lives about 2 hours hour and a half's drive from the gym, and once or twice a week he sleeps here because we're just hustling that much. We're launching, expanding, growing, doing these great shows for you guys. There's a lot of work that happens behind the scenes, and yeah, man, we're like living the entrepreneur life at the moment. Where I haven't trained all week. I basically am working on some big projects behind the scenes, more content for you guys, more for the online tribe. So my deload week is a little bit lazy physically, but I've learnt very well that there's only so much that I can manage in my life. Time management's an illusion, but energy management certainly isn't. So I'm focusing on a few other things, but I'll be hitting it up pretty big next week. So let's talk about what you're doing quickly with the tribe today. We've been doing a couple of different mobility strategies, introducing the guys to some new stuff.
Yeah, just teaching the guys some new stuff that they haven't learnt before, about how to really get some serious flexibility and mobility gains and some end range strength in their movements. So, you know, one of the things that we've learned over the years is just the amount of volume that it takes to really see some change in your mobility. And, you know, what I'm teaching the guys to play around with is that on each day of the week, they focus on a different part of the body, on a different area that they really want to see some mobility gains in, and hit it very, very hard. Not hard as in, so like in the sense of you kill yourself, but I mean volume, like just lots and lots of different exercises for creating mobility in one area and multiple sets. Yeah. So today we're focusing on the glutes, on external rotation, and teaching the guys how to do some really good glute work.
Yeah, awesome. And tomorrow you're doing...
tomorrow we're going to work on the pike, so the forward pike, which is hamstrings, and the pancake and the middle splits. Those three can be done in the same session quite well because the hamstrings and the adductors are connected to each other, and you have to improve flexibility in both of those areas together. You can't work on one without the other unless you want to hit a glass ceiling and not go any further. So
and Monday it was shoulder.
Yesterday it was shoulders. We did shoulders yesterday. Monday we worked on the new warm up.
Yep, that's right.
Which for those of you that are in the Movement Mastermind that do our online coaching, we just filmed it yesterday. We filmed the tutorial for it today. I'm going to film the follow along, so that should be ready for you.
Super exciting, guys.
That'll be ready for you this week.
New warm up. It's going to be huge, and
it is huge. We've been doing it ourselves now for 3 months, and it's come from, we're constantly learning from new people, and every time we learn something new, we make a mental assessment as to whether or not we think it's valuable, and if we don't, we discard it, and if we do, then we include it in our own training, and we figure out a way to incorporate it into what we do, and then we try it for a month or two, and if we feel that it's good, we tweak it and then work it, and if at the end of a several months trial we come to a point where we think this is really valuable, that's when we pass it on to our tribe. So anytime that we give something to you guys, it's because we've gone through that process, and this warm-up is exceptional.
And we have a very unique opportunity having the physical business and location here, Unity Gym, because we have a really, really loyal client base of 115 people who really love what we do, follow what we do, turn up every day. And so we get actual data from those people. We get to roll out the new program changes on ourselves. Then we roll it out to our gym tribe here, and we get real-time data and input. Like it's very rare for people who run online programs, you know, because they're not there with the person, they're not interacting with them, seeing how the person's bending, moving, and it's awesome, because then by the time we roll it out to our Movement Mastermind, to the wider audience, it's really been put through its paces and proven to work, and we don't bring anything out that wastes anyone's time, you know, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So let's dive into, just on top of all of that, to give you guys an idea of how Rad and I are approaching Deload Week. Both of us, he went and saw our chiropractic friend yesterday to have a bit of a body tune-up. How'd that go?
Very good.
Yeah.
I couldn't turn my head very well to the left when I went in, and when I came out, now I can.
Yeah, that's right. And that was with Tom Cartwright, who we get on here all the time as a special guest.
My traps and my levator scapula on the left side, my upper traps and my levator scapula get pretty locked up from an old shoulder injury in my left arm from 20 years ago. So all the handstand work that we do over 4 to 6 weeks, that gets really locked up and it restricts my movement. So
yeah, awesome.
It's a really good tune-up.
And we're both going to see a new physio on Thursday. We're booked in tomorrow morning, Rad at 9, me at 11 a.m. And she is a disciple from Sarah Key. And I'm really excited to work with Kate tomorrow.
We've heard great things about her. Tom's snatched her up. She's down at Tom Cartwright's place, and one of our members has been seeing her for a while, and he raves about her. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Very exciting. Yeah, so we're getting a lot of that remedial therapy done this week. I'm going to get a massage booked in, and we're following all of those nutrition protocols and recovery protocols that we spoke about on Tuesday or Monday. It was one of those days. And that's pretty much it. Now let's dive into some questions, because we've got some good ones. Now quickly, actually you go first.
Well, we've got 2 good questions from our Movement Mastermind group, because we've just launched our online Foundation Movement System online coaching. The guys are just getting access to it for the first time.
So this is the strength. This is the Foundation Strength program.
So we've been training people online with our mobility stuff for several months now and getting great results, but we're getting our first wave through of people that are doing the online coaching for strength training. So Tom Wood has asked, guys, quick question on the overload principle. Is it based on exercise or workout? E.g., are we doing front and back body line holds every day? So say I got 3 times 40 seconds on Monday's bent arm strength workout. Am I looking to improve this on Tuesday's lower body squat workout or on next week's Monday bent arm strength workout? Hope that makes sense. The only reason I ask is my Monday workout is on an evening and Tuesday's is first thing in the morning. My holds aren't as good on Tuesday workout. So the first thing I'll say is there's no chance in hell that your Tuesday workout is ever going to be as good as your Monday workout when you're training the same muscle group, when all you've had is 12 hours rest. So you just have to accept that. Optimally you'd be training at the same time every day. And there's only certain things that we do every day. So the core is, the core is all slow twitch muscle fibers, and because we use it all the time, it can be trained every day. So it is a bit of it's an anomaly compared to the other prime movers like your biceps and triceps and things like that. The second thing is, so is the overload, is it based on the exercise or the workout?
He's asking whether you should be trying to increase volume every day or every week.
Yeah, you look for the volume increase is more. You can do it from workout to workout when you're doing bent arm strength, for example, when you're training on Monday and Thursday. But when you're training a movement every day, it's more like week to week that you'll be looking for improvements.
Yeah.
You're not going to get improvements from day to day. So if you can look at, if you're really, really honest with yourself, honestly, I don't even think you can get, like with the front body line, you might be doing 3 times 40 seconds. But with the back body line, the time that you do each set drops off. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no way that you can do the same amount, like not at my level anyway. I'm sure there's guys that have been doing gymnastics for 10 or 20 years that can do that. Yeah. But at my level, someone who's been working on calisthenics and gymnastics for about 4 or 5 years, I can't do it the same every time. Yeah. Not with the way that we do it, where we just do a minute on, minute off, minute on, minute off, and you're changing. You know, maybe if you do a minute and then do nothing for 2 minutes and then do it again, maybe you could. You probably definitely could, but we don't do it that way.
Yeah, we get it done very quick, and it's something that we get a lot of accumulative fatigue on, and that's cool because accumulative fatigue certainly contributes to muscular hypertrophy, but in the same token, we're not prioritizing that so much. We get it done fresh, you know, at the start of the workout, but we've been doing it for quite a while, and I use weight now. I use 2.5 kilos on my dowel rod stick, and I can get 2 1-minute holds, but then the third hold is usually always like mediocre after 30 seconds. Like it's a burn to get to 30 seconds. Then I usually have to rest for 10 or 15, and then I get another 10 or 15 before we stop. So, and I've been doing it for quite a while. Anyway.
Yep.
Move on.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so great question, Tom. The next question comes from John Meaty. I hope I'm saying that right. So he's saying, hey, tribe, a few overload... Miati.
Well, I don't know, that's how I would pronounce it.
So he's saying, John's saying, hey tribe, a few overload principle questions. Number 1, hypertrophy rep range objectives are 40 to 70 per muscle group. Does the rep range apply to the muscle group as a whole or to the planes of movement, i.e. Bent arm strength, workout, horizontal and vertical pulls? So
good question.
Yeah, really good question. That's a really, really good question. It's something that you do want to understand. So the way we do our bent arm strength workout, you can say 40 to 70 repetitions in pulling, because when you do a horizontal pull and a vertical pull, a lot of the muscles cross over, and the same with a horizontal push and a horizontal vertical push. But at the same time, there's a lot of muscles that don't cross over. Like for example, when you do a vertical push, there is little pec major recruitment in that. But when you do a horizontal push, there is zero posterior deltoid and very little medial deltoid recruitment in that. That's the horizontal push is mostly tricep pec and anterior deltoid. So if you were to try and count that was your 40 repetitions and then you didn't make that consideration with the vertical push, then the posterior deltoid and the medial deltoid are not going to get that 40 rep range that you need. And then the same with the horizontal pulling versus vertical pulling. There are muscle crossovers, but you know, you do need to, not enough. Yeah.
And especially during the muscle hypertrophy phases of microcycles, you want to be doing
a minimum of 40 reps
on each plane.
Yeah, on each plane of movement. When it comes to at least the way that we write the strength programs at Unity Gym, I'll talk to this camera. When it comes to the straight arm workouts and the lower body workouts, it is definitely different. So the straight arm strength workout, for the foundations phase, it's the same thing, because you're doing the scap pushes or the horizontal straight arm movements, you're doing the horizontal pulling straight arm movements and then vertical. So you still need to get your 40 reps with that. But at the later stages, we start moving into movements like the planche and the front lever. And when you do that, you'll see the program does change. You can get more volume because you're doing like a planche primary and a planche supplementary and a lever primary and a lever supplementary. So they do cross over there. And with the lower body workouts, it definitely crosses over. So, you know, when you do a squat primary and then you do a split squat as a supplementary, that's the same muscle group. Or if you do a deadlift primary and then you do a deadlift supplementary where you're doing like a good morning or something, that's the same muscle group, so you can get that accumulated total.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything you want to add to that, Yanni?
No, not really. The thing I will add is that one of the things that you need to understand, and I'll talk straight at directly to Tom here. Overload, John. Sorry, overload is a funny beast, because as your training age increases, it gets harder and harder to overload the muscles, and so you have to constantly look for new ways of new creative ways of overloading the body and stimulating the body, pushing the body into super accumulation. And one of the things that you have to do is basically just keep cranking more and more volume. With calisthenics also, you overload by doing harder movements, harder variations. The whole thing with calisthenics is creating leverage or a less mechanical advantage to make it harder. So, you know, as you go forward, like right now in the phase of programming that you're at, don't stress too much about cranking up the volume. Just master the movements.
Absolutely.
And then as your training age increases with this level of intensity and volume, then we will always be suggesting that you start cranking up the volume and cranking up the intensity as well.
Yeah, phase 1 and 2 for the program is really there's actually very little body weight training in phase 1 and 2. Most of it is weight training, and we do that intentionally because it gives your body the ability to create structural balance. Because you hold dumbbells in each hand, so each arm has to work individually to create the movement. But when you start doing body weight training and you're using both arms together, you'll favor your strong side if you have a stronger side. Yeah. So we do that intentionally. It's also so much easier to choose the right weight that you need, the right load, you know, because you can just grab a dumbbell. It's too hard, so you put it down, grab another one. But when you're trying to figure out the right points of leverage and the right way to use mechanical advantage, like Yanni was talking about, that requires a lot more experience to get right. So that's why intentionally in phase 1 and 2 of the program, there's more weightlifting and less body weight training. Yeah. Phase 3 is when we really start to shift into the calisthenics training, and it's when we shift from, for example, it's when we go from dumbbell vertical pushing like this to a pike push-up where you're doing with your feet on the ground working towards a handstand push-up and things like that.
There's the thing is with our program, with the foundation movement system, and I hope I don't tread on any toes here, but most likely I will. Calisthenics is brilliant and bodyweight training is brilliant, but it's certainly not the best way to train for a beginner. No. Because a lot of the movements are quite advanced, and you know, Rad and I, we're lucky because we've got a traditional strength training background, and so we can look at it a little bit more scientifically, if you may, and there are better ways to train a beginner, and one of them is to iron out any anatomical structural imbalances in the body, and we do that by training in a unilateral fashion early on by doing single arm movements. Now in calisthenics that's very hard to do because single arm movements and single joint movements like the pistol squat or single leg movements, they're very advanced movements that a beginner can't do, you know. So we've designed a program that is the better way to train, not the best way to train if you've got no equipment, you know. And calisthenics, there's a big part of calisthenics is, you know, for people who just don't have access to gym equipment and don't have access, but we assume that people do have access to a gym now or some gym equipment, and that's sort of who our program is most suited to. And it is the better way to train because you are going to not only get good at calisthenics, you're going to really, really get a functional, good, strong body out of it, you know.
And all of the best strength coaches in the world will agree that for the lower body that barbells are the most effective way to train the lower body. So any calisthenics junkies out there, we're not talking about the elite calisthenics people and what they believe. We're talking about the people that are elite in the strength community as general, you know, and that's pretty widely accepted. You know, someone who I really love their approach to training, Ido Portal, he's had so much experience in so many different areas, and he uses so much calisthenics and gymnastics for the upper body, but when it comes to the lower body, it's just straight up weight training, very similar to the approach that we do, and very effective. And we'll say this again, when Yanni says that this is the better way to train, that's what we honestly believe in our heart. If it wasn't, we'd do something else, and we've been doing this professionally for 16 years, but we did not say this is the best way to train. There is no best way to train. The best way to train is different for every single person. Everybody's body needs something different.
That's right, and it depends, what you're striving for and what your goals are and things like that.
But if you want to be a good mover and you don't want to be just top heavy like a gymnast and calisthenics, and you only need to look at the most advanced gymnastics people, the most advanced in the world. Look at the Olympics; they're all top heavy. They've got these amazingly developed upper body physiques and very, very scrawny legs.
Yeah.
All the male gymnasts, and men hypertrophy easier than women, they have virtually nothing downstairs.
Yeah.
So you cannot say.
And that when I say that it's the better way to train, and it is even our tagline, we're not necessarily referring to the foundation movement system. We're referring to the concept of balance between strength and mobility, and the use of the best neurological pathways, which is barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells for your lower body, and calisthenics movements for your upper body. You know, and that anyone could put that together in a program. It's just that we've systemized it to a degree where
to a much higher degree than what most people do, so that we can pass it on and replicate it to other people. The other thing is as well, we've been doing this for a very long time, and as we spoke about it earlier on in this episode, we've had a lot of experience trying it out on ourselves, learning from amazing coaches, trying it out on ourselves. No, that didn't work. Try something else. No, that didn't work. Oh, that did work. And then trying it on our clients. So we've tried doing things in very different ways. We've tried going a real baby approach where we take people really just the basics for such a long time, and that got a certain result, but it made a lot of people bored, didn't keep people stimulated. And then we've tried the other way, where we train people's egos and we let them sort of tell us what they want to do, and that produced a lot of injuries. And we've found this balance where what we now do in our FMS online program and in our program at the gym has been tried and tested. We believe that it is the fastest way to get people to where they want to go with a low risk of injury.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We got one more question.
One more question from John. John's got a second part to his question, and we're going to have to be really quick because we're out of time. So this is from John again. Provided that we're aiming to be near failure at the end of each set, be it rep 8 or 15, should we be resting enough between sets so that we can handle the same weight in sets 4 and 5 as we do in set 1? So again, another really good question, John. And the first thing I'd like to say is I want to be really, really clear on the fact that you said to be near failure. We do not recommend people to go to failure in every set. What we recommend is that people go to failure in the last set and the last set only, because it dramatically reduces the quality of the rest of your sets if you go to failure in the first set. So we look for about 80% of max effort. So if you could do 10 reps, that maybe you only do 8 or 9. And then the same, should we be able to handle the same weight in sets 4 and 5? If you're doing hypertrophy training, not necessarily. In hypertrophy training, you can definitely drop the weight as your body fatigues, or drop the resistance with calisthenics, but you definitely should be resting enough that you shouldn't be seeing a major drop-off, especially in the first 3 sets, I reckon.
Yeah, and there are different techniques. This is where like intraset overload techniques start to come into play, which is at a much more advanced level, and there's ways that you can ramp load, you can deload, you can do all sorts of stuff. I've trained with some of the best bodybuilders in the world, and they basically aim to stay on the same weight the whole way. But then I've also trained with some of the world's best strength coaches who love ramp loading when strength training and deloading when training for hypertrophy, because they sort of like taking the muscles to failure, and you can't do that on the same weight every time, So there's lots of different ways to skin a cat here, but like in the early phases, in the beginning, what Rad said, absolutely I would stand by. Aim to take your muscles to failure once or twice in a workout, not every set, because you do a lot of metabolic damage to the tissue once you take it to failure. And although it's a good thing used sparingly, it's certainly not good for consistency and frequency of training, because you're going to be a lot sorer the next day, And
yeah, absolutely. And it's not just that, John. You're going to, in the next, if you stay with us for a long enough time, you're going to start seeing some really cool and much more advanced overload techniques than what you're doing right now. Right now, it's very, very basic. And what I said and what Yanni supported is what you want to be focusing on. And
the overload right now comes from just the frequency and consistency and volume that you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's the first phase of overload.
Yeah, that's right.
Then we'll start to bring in some intraset overload techniques and some interset overload techniques But that stuff, don't worry about it, because you're going to be able to take yourself to failure really easily just with the amount of volume and frequency.
Exactly. Yeah, just by, you know, and that 8 to 15 rep range that we spoke about, that depends on your training age. If you're somebody that's really new to working out, you want to be working more like that 12 to 15 rep range. But if you're someone that's been lifting weights and doing resistance training for years, you want to be sitting around more that 8 to 10 rep range.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's it. That's all we've got time for.
Today. Yeah, we'll continue these discussions. Keep bringing your questions in. We did have a couple of questions on the YouTube channel that we didn't get to today, so I'll have a look at those tomorrow. I'll answer them written today, so you guys have an answer, and we'll talk about them on the show tomorrow.
And I won't be here tomorrow. I'm off to get...
that's right. I'm going to have Kalisha joining me tomorrow on the show.
Let's see if we can cause some more controversy.
It's going to happen, yeah. So yeah, see you all tomorrow. Get your questions in. And any of you females out there that want to ask questions about mindset, about female coaching, motherhood, exercise, all of that, then get them in, because we're going to have Kalisha on the show helping out tomorrow. Take care, guys. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.